Hi everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Alma de la Molina Cox. For this Draw With Me video, I would like to encourage us all to get cozy and comfy. For me, that's wearing my robe. And this is my more velveteen rabbit-like robe that I really love so much. My newer one is already packed. As I mentioned in last week's video, I'm getting ready to move and the location will be revealed soon. I will share that I'm leaving Portland, Oregon, and not because of the rain. So my illustration today also features a robe and tells the story of living your own version of wild. And I will admit that occasionally wild for me means showing up at a friend's house for dinner in my robe. But she loves me anyway. And let's see, I just ordered the MaxPack Retro brush set for Procreate. That's a mouthful. And I am super obsessed. I'm going to be sharing which ones I used for this pre-recorded drawing, and the link will be in the description below, and they are not paying me to gush about these super cool brushes. So if you like my video, please give it a thumbs up and thank you in advance. And if you subscribe to my channel, I am super grateful. So let's relax and draw together. Thank you, everyone. So as I've been doing lately, I've been going to Pexels for my reference photos, and any person in a robe just makes me so happy. So I took the opportunity to change out the book that she was reading for a cocktail because it fits perfectly with the theme that I'm going for this week. And it's actually based on an Instagram prompt called June in Bloom. And I will put down the name of the illustrator whose Instagram I actually found this on. Amazing, talented artist, Charlie Clements. And she is part of, well, she's a Skillshare teacher, and she's part of a group of other illustrators who are putting on, or who put on this prompt. And so it's for the entire month of June for 2022. And one thing I want to say to those of you who are just beginning as artists, as illustrators, or even seasoned artists, Instagram is such an amazing platform to connect with folks who have really large followings. Like, I don't have a very big following at all, but I'm gaining more followers and a few more people to my YouTube channel because of the stretch that I'm doing. I'm joining some of these prompts. I'm also doing some draw this in your style illustrations. And you may have noticed that I'm really focusing on my iPad and my digital drawing lately. I'm not going to be exclusively an artist who shares content on Procreate. I will get back to my mixed media and I will get back to my painting, but over the last few months, we've been in the process of making a big move. And so this has taken a lot of my energy and time. So thank you for all of you. If you found my channel because you love mixed media, or if you found my channel because you love painting or even travel, thank you for sticking with me. I will get back to doing more kind of diverse projects. But I also am really interested in expanding into illustration. So I'm moving a little bit in this direction. I don't know where the path is going to lead. I am doing a lot of research and I'm trying to get out there a little bit more with Instagram. I'm actually super inspired by my father-in-law, who is over 80, and he just finally joined social media several months ago and is killing it. Like, he's just jamming, and it's because he's diligent about posting. And I've always kind of had a lackadaisical attitude about it, but I'm seeing the merits. But what's really, really fun about being more involved are the connections that I'm making. I'm getting to know other illustrators who I consider friends, and I've never met them before. We might have a similar leaning. We like cute girl characters, for example. And I'm also finding that it's super fun to just sit there on my couch and watching TV, and I can draw these illustrations that are making me a better artist too, because some of them, like this one, has a little more detail and precision involved than some of my mixed media paintings. And so that's just a good way to stretch myself. As I mentioned in the intro, I am wanting to talk a little bit about the MaxPack Retro brushes for Procreate, and these are brand new to me. I think they've been around for at least a couple of years, and again, I'm just sort of slow to the party, but I love them because they absolutely do have that retro feel. And this one is called the Grungy Sketch. I'm gonna have to speed up considerably because this illustration took me forever, and part of it was that, you know, like I said, I'm watching TV, and that initial, at the very beginning of this video, I'm showing you just sort of the quick time lapse that Procreate stores as I'm creating the initial sketch and watching TV. I'm pausing and all that. This inking part, the coloring of the sketch, didn't take me nearly as long, but I still want to speed it up for you because I'm sure that you have other things to do in your day. So this particular brush is the Gouache Flow Old, and why I chose it, I mean, it's just amazing. I just love the texture of it. But as a contrast to the first brush I used that has a little bit more of a sketchy feel. So I like that this has a little bit more flow, and so it's just another opportunity to create contrast with the illustration. So what I'm doing is I'm using this brush primarily for the tropical flower elements, and then the other brush, the scrub, for the room elements. And then later on, I will add details using kind of my tried and true favorite, which is the 6B pencil. I also really love the HB pencil that you've heard me mention in other videos. But I will do my best here to tell you what other brushes I'm testing out from this MaxPacks. I mean, the names of them are just so great. Pastel Cloudy, they have Photocopy Bold, they have something called a Shader Wash, Retro Wash. So it's pretty robust. I want to say there are at least 25 brushes. So I will be using them as you know, I go forward with more illustrations. So please stay tuned, and I highly recommend it. Actually, I'll share the link with you in the description so that you can purchase it easily. The other thing I bought was their paper pack. So I will add here in just a moment the background. It's like a watercolor base so that you have that little bit of texture in the background, and you can add color to it because you can add layers. Now here I've got my tried and true studio pen. This comes with Procreate, and I just love the contrast between that smooth and the rough texture. And this now is the 6B pencil, which is under sketching, and it also comes with the app. And I'll slow it down here so you can see this really cool brush that I just am crazy for. It's called the Gouache Natural Flat. And I love how they also come in variations. So for example, this one has just a little bit more transparency, but then they also offer a natural flat glaze, which tends to be a little more opaque. And I'm not going to use it here, but they just have so many different options. So I just love the, you know, when I squeeze it back and the illustration is tiny again, I just love that you can see just even that little nuance of texture even from far away and in small. So now I've added a layer to this particular plant on top, and then I clicked on clipping mask, and I'm using the Gouache Retro brush just to add a little bit darker value and some interest, you know, just to get a little bit of that dimension on the foliage. And here you can see that the process, you know, is a little bit laborious because I just, you know, it's got to be right. And so the opacity, I'm dropping it down and just seeing like, okay, is it too bright? You know, I don't want to detract from the lower layer, you know, that cool brush. So I don't want to use it too much. So it's just little touches of light and dark. And then I'll go ahead and do that same process to all the other foliage. So one thing that I'm a bit obsessed about is outlining with red and variations of red, sometimes leaning towards orange, sometimes leaning towards pink. but I think it's just this, in Portugal, they had these beautiful embroideries with red thread. And I think that that's kind of, I've seen, old red ink drawings, but I think it's those embroideries that actually just really inspired me to think about using more of this outlining technique in my illustrations. So this particular brush that I'm using, again, this is from the MaxPacks. And let's see, let me scroll through to find the exact name for you. It is called the Photocopy Sketch. And what's super cool about this one is I've dropped the opacity. You can see it's maybe around 50-ish%. And when it's dropped down like that, it breaks the line. And so I just love the non-continuous line. I love that I don't have to, go ahead and make little dots or space it out. The brush automatically does it, and I just think it's just brilliant. So I'm very excited about that particular brush, and again, that one's the Photocopy Sketch from the MaxPacks. So I wish I could be a little more organized in my thinking here about why I come to these decisions, but I get to a point sometimes with these illustrations where it's just not working. I need more contrast or something. And so here I'm just using my studio pen to experiment putting some color in the background, and not the whole thing. I mean, I'll add more color to the whole thing in just a moment, but here you can see I'm like, okay, what if I just do these wavy blobs? Does that make the foliage stand out more? I mean, look at how slow I am moving through this. It's kind of painful to even watch as this has all obviously been pre-recorded and I'm just talking over. But here you can see like, okay, I guess I do like it. I think I'm going to go with it a little bit. But one can be rewarded from experimentation, because when I dropped this color in for the background, I just fell in love. And here you can see I'm just lightening it up, darkening it up, trying to figure out like, okay, what's the color? But what I loved about it is it fills in all the gaps. You can see that background coming through the other parts of this illustration, and I just love that. So that's what did it for me. And even though I changed the color of the background to kind of a more light blue for my final, it was this color that kind of led me there. So I guess what I'm saying is, don't be afraid to experiment. Don't be afraid to get off your path a little bit. If you've been doing things one way, just throw in something new. You never know where it's going to lead. So with these tiny details, I mean, this is really where I just love the little details so much. Figuring out the little stripes on the straw and just adding just those little dots to the umbrella just makes me really happy. Who knows if anybody can really see it? Who is anybody looking that closely at illustrations on social media? I don't know, but it doesn't matter. It's what I love, and it's all about our joy. And I love adding words in my artwork. I feel like I want to spell it out, even though there is a story that is pretty obvious in this illustration. I want to drive the point home. And so that's what inspired me to write the words. What did I say? Let's see what I wrote. I wrote, live your wild. So yeah, and I liked the idea of it being kind of like a little chalkboard look that the sloth is holding. When you stare at an illustration for a while, you don't really see what is wrong with it. And so I stepped away from this one and I came back, and I could tell that things were just off with the night table and the position of the lamp. I felt earlier that the lamp was leaning. And in the past, like as a newer artist, I would have redone the whole thing. But the beauty of Procreate is that you can, especially if you have everything on different layers, you can really, make changes and alter even just the shape of the things that you've created. So keep that in mind. I use the distort tool, the warp tool, anything that I can to get it to look, right in my mind. I mean, is there a right? I think nobody would have noticed maybe that the night table or the lamp were leaning strangely, but it's just one of those things. I like control over many things, including my drawing. So anyway, I wanted just to share this little bit with you, especially those of you new to Procreate or new to illustration and using, you're creating with digital means, to use the tools that are available to you so you don't have to recreate the wheel. And then the other thing I wanted to point out is the luminance brush under luminance, and this comes with Procreate as well. And it's just so much easier to add a little glow of light to your drawings using the brushes there. So keep that in mind too. And then the last thing I wanted to share is the little background dots that I have in the background. I used the stipple control brush in the MaxPacks as well. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it inspirational. If you have any questions regarding Procreate or mixed media techniques, please do leave them in the comments. You guys have a great week. Happy creating, and I will see you next time.